together. All right, so we'll call this example 1, and then I'm going to go through the steps as I do this example. Example 1, we're going to graph y equals, what is it, class? Y equals 2x squared minus 8x.
Yeah.
And what's the c? Plus what?
6.
Plus 6. Okay, the first thing I want you to do right now is everybody right now, see how it follows this form? Tell me right now, everybody, what's A? Let's identify A, B, and C right here. What's my A? 2. Everybody agree it's 2?
No.
All right, what's my B?
-8.
-8, right? Like we would put -8 for B. And what's my C? Just for the sake of argument. 6. Everybody see what I did? All I did, A, B, and C. All I did was identify A, B, and C in my quadratic equation. All right. Next, we're going to determine right now whether my parabola should be opening up or down. What is A? 2. So automatically, everybody right now, tell me right now, does it open up or down? Up. All right, let's say that right now. Because A is positive, my parabola is going to open up. Okay? You know, just realized, what is number 3 only asking us to do? It's not asking us to graph, is it? So I apologize. Let's change this, guys. This is the introductory, so can everyone change that on their notes? We're not going to ask to be graphing this one. We're just going to be asked to find the axis symmetry in the vertex. I apologize. We are going to be graphing one, but not this one. And vertex. Now remember in 10.1 when we just covered a little while ago, when I said we already knew what the axis symmetry in the vertex was? Here we don't know it. We have to find it. That's what's different about this. All right, we know this parabola is opening up. Okay? Now, here's the new part. We have to find our axis of symmetry. And how you do that, okay? We need to find our axis of symmetry. It's no longer x equals 0 anymore. Okay? And how we find it, here's the equation we use, class. X equals the opposite, does not mean negative, opposite of B over 2 times A. Everybody make sure you have that nice and big in your notes. That's how we find the equation of our vertical line. That's our axis of symmetry that's going to cut our parabola that we know now opens up. We cuts it in half. You could put it that way, but I just remember always, you always just say to yourself, what's the opposite of B? If B was negative, it's automatically going to be positive, okay? All right, now do you know why we identified A, B? Because you have to put it into this equation to find your axis symmetry. Now, we don't necessarily need C right now, but I like to put it because we're getting into quadratics, and I want to always identify A, B, and C in all your quadratics. All right, so here we go, guys. Let's plug it in. So we're going to go X equals. What's the opposite of -8? Now, that's a good point, Kaya, because this is what I do that actually when I write it out. We just don't write it like that but when I write it, I do put it in parentheses. Over 2 times, and what's A? 2. All right, let's go ahead and simplify this. So the opposite of, remember this means opposite of. The opposite of -8, what does that become?
8.
Positive 8, yep. Over 2 times 2. 4. Guys, what's 8 divided by 4?
2.
So our equation is x equals 2. So notice it's not x equals 0 anymore. That is going to be the vertical line that's going to cut my parabola in half. So I'm going to go over to negative or positive 2 on my x-axis, plot a point, and draw a vertical line through it. And that line is going to be my half. It's going to cut my parabola that I'm going to find points for in half. All right, so I've got half of what I need for this problem. Because right now, all we're asking you to do is get associated with how do you find the axis symmetry and how do you find the vertex. All right, here's the next part. The next part is how do I get my vertex? Well, what did I tell you, again, did I tell you about what does the axis symmetry always pass through?
The vertex.
The vertex. So if my axis symmetry passes through my vertex, then whatever my axis symmetry is going to be the x-coordinate of my vertex. Watch. So automatically, I know this is this. Whatever this was is what's going to go here. And what was it?
2.
So let's go ahead, guys, and write 2 here. Do we have any idea what my y is right now? No. But if I know what my x coordinate of my vertex already is, how do I ever get another variable for an equation? What do I always do to get my y? Plug it back in, exactly. I'm going to plug it back into my original equation, because watch. I put in 2 here, I put in 2 here, and what am I going to get? I'm going to get my y. So here I go. So now I'm going to plug in 2, which is my x coordinate. Remember, this will always be what this number is right here. So whatever your x symmetry is, we always find that first, will always be the x coordinate of my vertex. And I'm going to find y by plugging it back into my original equation. So here I go. Okay, so right up here, y equals, this is to find y. Okay? I'm going to go y equals 2 times, in parentheses what? 2 squared minus 8 times what?
2.
Plus 6. Okay, so y equals 2 squared is what, class?
4.
4 times 2 is 8 minus 8 times 2 is 16. So I've got 8 minus 16 plus 6. Order of operations tells me to subtract before I add. I always do it from left to right first. 8 minus 16 is negative 8. Negative 8 plus 6 is what? Negative 2. Right? 2 squared, 4, 8 minus 16. Negative 8 plus 6, negative 2. Yep. All right. There's my vertex, class. Okay? So this first problem, these first few problems in your homework are going to ask you to only find, it doesn't actually ask you to graph them, it only asks you to find the axis symmetry using this equation, identifying your A, B, and C first. Like I said, you don't really need your C right now, but I still want you to get in the habit of writing it. Okay? Plugging in the opposite of B over 2A, getting that equation of that vertical line, that axis symmetry. This is going to then be your x coordinate of your vertex. Plug in your x into the equation and solve for your y, which is the y coordinate of your vertex. Do those make sense? Okay? Now the nice thing about the next one we do together